Exile, a fallen star. Once a beacon of hope, now a symbol of despair. Night, stars wheeled in their eternal dance, indifferent to the drama unfolding below. Below, a blue and green world rushed closer, its beauty a stark contrast to the turmoil within Lyra's heart. Princess Lyra tumbled through the atmosphere, a comet of sorrow and defiance. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of her exile. Each beat a reminder of her fall from grace. She was alone, stripped of her birthright, a fallen star hurled to this primitive planet. The weight of her isolation pressed down on her. She landed with a crash, the wind knocked from her lungs. The impact left a crater, a scar on the earth mirroring the one on her soul. She lay there, gasping, the taste of ozone and fear bitter on her tongue. Lyra pushed herself up, her resolve hardening with each breath. Her scarlet robes were torn, her body bruised. Each tear and bruise a testament to her struggle, her defiance. Above her, the stars were cold and distant. They seemed to mock her, their light unreachable. They offered no comfort, only a reminder of all she had lost. The vastness of the universe felt like a prison. She was a stranger here, cast out from her own people. The forest around her was alien, yet it was now her home. Her crime? Daring to question, daring to dream of a different way. Her thoughts had been her rebellion, her dreams her downfall. She touched the energy blade at her hip. It was a was, only that she was alone. The loneliness was a new kind of pain, one that gnawed at her resolve. But somewhere in the depths of this alien world, she vowed, she would find her destiny. Her exile would not be the end of her story. She would not be forgotten. Her name, her legacy, would endure. Lyra would rise again, a fallen star reborn. Days bled into weeks. Lyra moved through the wilderness, a solitary hunter in a world both alien and familiar. She learned to read the language of the forest, to track prey, to find shelter from the storms that lashed the mountains. She spoke to no one. There was no one to speak to. One day she stumbled upon a cave hidden high in the peaks. It was ancient, carved deep into the heart of the mountain. She felt a strange pull, an echo of something old and powerful. The air crackled with energy. It hummed around her, whispering of secrets long forgotten. She entered cautiously, her hand on her energy blade. The cave was dark, the air thick with the smell of dust and something else, something ancient and fierce. It sent a shiver down her spine. The ground sloped downwards, the path lit only by the faint glow of moss clinging to the walls. The air grew warmer, the smell stronger. It smelled of fire and lightning, of power barely contained. Lyra's heart pounded in her chest. She knew, with a certainty that went beyond reason, that she was walking towards something extraordinary, something magnificent. The cave opened into a vast cavern, its walls echoing with the whispers of ancient secrets. The air was thick with a sense of history, as if the very stones had stories to tell. In the center, nestled amongst a bed of glowing crystals, lay a dragon. The crystals pulsed with a soft, ethereal light, casting an otherworldly glow on the creature's scales. It was enormous, its scales the color of amethyst, shimmering with every breath it took. Its eyes were slits of molten gold, glowing with an inner fire that seemed to pierce through the darkness. It was more magnificent than anything Lyra had ever seen. Lyra stared, breathless, her heart pounding in her chest. She had heard tales of dragons, but nothing had prepared her for the sheer majesty of this creature. The dragon's chest rose and fell with each slow breath, plumes of smoke curling from its nostrils. The air around it seemed to shimmer with heat, as if the dragon's very presence was enough to alter the environment. It seemed to be asleep, its power banked, a sleeping volcano. Yet, even in slumber, there was an undeniable aura of strength and ancient wisdom that radiated from the creature. Lyra knew with a certainty that went beyond logic that this creature was the source of the energy she had felt, the guardian of this ancient place. The very air seemed to hum with its presence, a silent testament to its power. As if sensing her gaze, the dragon's eyes snapped open. The sudden movement was startling, and Lyra felt a jolt of fear and awe. They blazed like twin suns, fixing on her with an intensity that made her heart skip a beat. The dragon's gaze was penetrating, as if it could see into the very depths of her soul. Lyra stood her ground, meeting the creature's gaze with a composure she didn't quite feel. Her legs trembled, but she refused to show any sign of weakness. She had faced down emperors and warlords. She had stood in the presence of the most powerful beings in her world. She would not flinch from a beast, no matter how magnificent. Her resolve was ironclad, her spirit unyielding. For a long moment, they simply stared at each other. The silence was thick with unspoken words, a conversation of souls. Then, to Lyra's astonishment, the dragon dipped its head in a gesture of acknowledgement. It was a moment of profound connection, a bridge between two worlds. A low rumble resonated through the cavern, a sound both ancient and welcoming. It was a sound that seemed to vibrate through her very bones. It was a sound that spoke of power and wisdom, of a bond that transcended species and worlds. It was a sound that promised understanding and mutual respect. It was the sound of kinship, a bond forged in the fires of ancient magic and shared destiny. Lyra knew in that moment that her life would never be the same. Section 4. Fear, the Drums of War. Word spread like wildfire. A being of immense power wielding strange magic had fallen from the sky. She controlled a beast of fire and fury, a dragon from ancient legends. Fear, potent and intoxicating, gripped the hearts of men. Generals, their chests heavy with medals, saw not a lost soul but a potent weapon. Politicians, their eyes on power, saw not a refugee but a threat to their fragile order. They called for her capture, for the harnessing of her power. They would bend her to their will or break her. Armies marched, their banners a tapestry of fear and ambition. Tanks rumbled across the plains, their guns aimed at the mountains, at the heart of the dragon's lair. Fighter jets screamed across the sky, leaving trails of smoke like scars across the sunset. Lyra watched from the mouth of her cave, the wind whipping her hair around her face. She could feel the tremors of their approach, sense the darkness in their hearts. They came for her, not in peace, but with fire and fury, their fear a tangible thing. They came to wage war. Section 5. Assault, Fire and Fury. The attack came at dawn, just as the first light of the sun began to creep over the horizon, casting long shadows across the rugged terrain. Explosions ripped through the silence, shattering the stillness of the mountains. The ground trembled violently, as if the very earth was rebelling against the onslaught. Rocks rained down from the sky, dislodged by the force of the blasts, creating a deadly hailstorm of debris. The air filled with the acrid smell of smoke and fear, a thick, choking miasma that clung to everything it touched. Lyra, astride her dragon, rose to meet them. Her eyes were fierce, her resolve unbreakable. The dragon roared, a sound that shook the heavens and sent shivers down the spines of those who heard it. It uncoiled its vast length, its scales shimmering like 1,000 amethysts in the morning light, each one reflecting the dawn's early rays. Its wings, vast and leathery, beat the air with a thunderous rhythm, creating storms of wind that sent men and machines scattering like leaves in a gale. It was a force of nature, beautiful and terrible to behold, a living embodiment of power and grace. Below them, the army scattered in panic, their formations breaking apart under the relentless assault. Tanks fired, their shells bouncing harmlessly off the dragon's scales, which were as impenetrable as the hardest steel. Jets screamed past, firing missiles that exploded against its hide, leaving nothing but scorch marks and a faint smell of burnt metal. The dragon was untouchable, a whirlwind of fire and fury, its every movement a testament to its unstoppable might. Lyra, her heart pounding with a strange exhilaration, directed the dragon's wrath with precision and purpose. She was a storm of fire and fury, her energy blade a beacon of defiance, cutting through the chaos with deadly accuracy. She cut down tanks with a single swipe, sent jets spiraling from the sky with a mere flick of her wrist. She was a warrior princess, defending her home, her friend with every fiber of her being, her spirit unyielding. She would not be denied, her determination burning brighter than the fires that raged around her.